I think it can be fairly strongly argued that working people in general, in particular in Eastern Canada and in Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, are experiencing a tough time the last few years, which makes it a fairly appropriate time to do a project like the Cape Breton Protest Song Project. I think it's important to remember, as we see workers like the transit workers and the shutdowns of the mills, and a lot of clawbacks from government and private employers, that we have to stand by working people, I think, and support them, because I think what any working people and unions gain is not just something for this one particular group, but it's something that all working people deserve, and then everyone sets a precedent for us all to be able to accomplish the same and gain the same rights. And when exploring the poems and songs of the 20s and 30s in Cape Breton, you realize these men and women fought for the things we take for granted, like our 40-hour work week and our 8-hour working day, vacation, pensions, and we still to this day have to fight fiercely to keep what we gained. And so this project really was a brainchild of Richard McKinnon, who came to me after he had written a scholarly paper on unearthing these old poems and songs from the 20s and 30s. And he thought, when he found them, he found much more than he thought that he would. There's hundreds of poems out there written in Cape Breton and performed at rallies on May Day and different protests. And they were sung, they were spoken, they were read. But a lot of the music has been lost, not recorded, not written down. And he thought it'd be great if musicians in Cape Breton today would maybe write new music to accompany these great words that still hold so much relevance to our struggle today. And it really marries the past in Cape Breton and our industrial past with our post-industrial future, and it gives us a real sense of our working cultural identity. And so as we worked together, we filtered through these songs, we cut it down from I think there was 150 or more to 70 to 50. And then he asked me to find my friends and colleagues in the music industry to pass them out some different poems and see what they could do and see if they'd be interested. I thought it was a wonderful idea. It reminded me of a project that Billy Bragg and Wilco did in the 90s, taking Woody Guthrie's unfinished songs and working them into the Mermaid Avenue albums, which I love. And so we did, so I figured I'd try it out. I sent out a blast of songs to a few different friends and acquaintances. And the initial reaction blew me away because it was so positive and energetic. And people really wanted to be involved in this project. And it just warmed my heart and gave us the energy we needed to continue on. Because it was really a labor of love at that point. We just thought it was a great idea. We didn't really have any funding or anything at that point. We luckily had access to Richard's studio and the archives, and the Beaton Institute, the Center for Cape Breton Studies. Chris Jones is engineer in the studio in the university. And so very quickly these songs came back. A lot of the musicians I talked to, they said when I saw this poem and I read it over, the melody just sang back at me, and it came that easy. It may sound kind of cheesy to say that, but I know personally that happened for me, and I know a lot of my friends the same thing happened. It was really quite a wonderful experience. So over the course of about a year or so, we slowly picked at the project, working around different schedules, and getting musicians together, which, believe it or not, isn't always an easy thing to do. And we, with help of different unions, Nova Scotia Labour Congress and all kinds of different CAW, different funders helped us print the CD and get it out there, the university. And now if you don't already have a copy tonight, you can buy one from me or Richard, and you can order it online too if you like. But it was just a really rewarding experience to do something like this. And you realize there's a lot of, as Cape Bretoners, you might know some of the poems and the poets, and you may not know others. For example, one performance tonight will be a poem from Don Fraser, who wrote a celebrated Cape Breton book of poetry that goes of Laborers' War. And it's about a man named Eddie Crimmins who came from Port Basque to work here. He lost his job, and he starved to death in the streets. And the songs that came from these kind of poems that aren't necessarily your traditional Cape Breton songs, your traditional labor songs, because we put no restrictions on what the musicians wanted to write. Whatever they thought the poem deserved, that is the music that they have written to accompany it. And so we have a great varied number of different compositions, folky to rock, to kind of experimental, punkish. And another performance by Carolyn Leone tonight is a poem written by George Stratman, who we don't really know too much about. But the poem is from the experience of a wife and a daughter waiting for the whistle to blow. And you see the ambulance come, and you don't know whether your husband or your son is going to come home that day. And there's a reality faced for years here. And it's something in our cultural identity. We all have steel and coal in our blood, whether we worked in the industries or not. We're all connected directly to our industrial past. And there's one song in the album that's original that I wrote myself. As a producer of the album, you can squeeze these kind of things in. But I actually recorded it long before we came up with the idea for the project. Richard, we played a gig together, and he heard me play it one time, and it was written about my father on the occasion of his retirement. And it's just about my experience growing up, dealing with his absence, the picket lines, the fallout at the end of his career. And so we're gonna begin the musical portion with me playing that song. And I just came back from visiting my dad this week. He recently suffered a heart attack. And he's doing better. He's on the mend. So this performance of this song will mean quite a lot to me. And I hope you enjoy it. Thanks very much.